Hello. Hi, how are you?
Mark, hi, how are you?
Can you see me okay?
Yes, I can.
Very good. Very good. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, very good. Very good. So, you're in Arizona or California?
Arizona.
Oh, okay. How are things out there?
Hot. Very hot.
But how are things in terms of overall? Has things returned back to a sense of normalcy in terms of society?
Somewhat, yeah. I think there's, in general, there's been a resurgence of activity. The restaurant scene and just normal, casual activities that people do. There's still a lot that hasn't really picked back up. The gyms in particular are slow to reopen. I think people are still hesitant.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then there's industries that still haven't recovered yet, like the entertainment and movie theaters and
Sure.
but no, and then just on the business side, things here, I've managed to stay open through the whole shutdown.
Our platform for the most part is martial artists and Taekwondo people, but we have a
Right.
variety of people that we speak to, and many of them are people that have either services or products or things that are of interest to martial arts practitioners. And in particularly in this time, I've been on so many of these forums with so many of the groups where obviously sanitation, hygiene, anti-COVID measures have been such an important discussion in our community regarding reopening and going forward procedures, that when Andrea and I spoke, I thought that what you're working on would really be of interest to our community. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to discuss that. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about your background, what it is you do, and where you grew up.
Yeah, so I didn't start out in the desert. So originally, I'm actually from the East Coast, but not quite north. I spent quite a bit of time up there, but originally I grew up in Georgia, so South Georgia near Savannah. And my father was a physician. Both parents were immigrants from the Philippines, and landed in Georgia to practice medicine. We all grew up there, the youngest of 5 kids. And after going through college in Georgia, I went to medical school down in Miami, and then went to my hospital training and residency for podiatric medicine. So I'm a doctor of podiatric medicine, or foot and ankle specialist surgeon, and did all my training up at Cambridge Hospital up in Boston. So spent about better part of a decade there doing my training, and then I stayed and practiced in Massachusetts. Hopefully I say this right, Worcester, which is Central Mass.
Right.
Not Worcester. So I spent about 10 years total in New England. And I actually met my wife in medical school, who at the time happened to be from Arizona. So her family, also from New England, originally from Vermont and Rhode Island. She and her parents moved to Arizona back in the 80s, and then going through school, she ended up in medical school with me in Miami. When we got married, actually, right before I finished residency, she did a surgical residency in Hartford, Connecticut, and hers was 1 year shorter than mine. So we started our family in New England, and she got homesick. Parents were still in Arizona and Scottsdale, so she just kind of we both had a sense of needing some family around, and neither one of us really had any in New England. So we decided to move about a little over 10 years ago to Scottsdale. And
Scottsdale's beautiful. Really beautiful.
Yeah, it's definitely different than New England for sure. Things aren't quite as old. It's a little drier here, not as green.
Sure.
But oddly enough, the desert, I think a lot of people have the misconception that everything's just, cactus and sand, which it is. There's a fair amount of that. But honestly, where we live about 20 minutes north of the city, and it's as green and lush as I remember growing up in the backwoods of South Georgia. Tons tons of wildlife, deer, javelina, where they look like wild boar, coyotes galore, rabbits, everything you could ask for wildlife-wise. So it really did change my opinion of the desert when I got here, when we first visited, when I started dating my wife. But yeah, we've been here for 10 years. So, and I started my practice. I had worked with other people when I first got here. And my wife was gracious enough to step back and take care of her children. Kind of a group decision that she did that, because she's just as trained as I am in our profession. But we decided that our family came first, and she wanted to put the effort into raising our children, which she's done an amazing job with that. So, but about about 8 years ago, a couple of years after we got here, I decided to start my own practice. And ever since, it's just kind of grown slowly, and have developed a reputation here, and do everything from sports medicine, trauma, to surgery, reconstructive, and then a lot of diabetic care, which is we're prone to see in this profession, in particular with foot and ankle disorders. So, but yeah, so that's kind of my background as far as the professional side. And then I guess pertinent to our conversation and your area or your world, my martial arts journey kind of began very late, actually very recently, personally. So as a family, my kids were doing karate, and then when they were little toddlers and 6 to 6 years old, my wife actually was the one that inspired me to kind of step up and actually participate in the arts. She had dabbled with karate when the kids were doing it as in the adult class that they had at the dojo we were at.
Sure.
But then they started offering other classes, and she had tried out Taekwondo, but then the gym that the kids were at primarily, they started offering Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes,
Sure.
which she thought it was an extremely intriguing sport for her. She's very physical, very competitive. Don't tell her I said so, but strong as an ox. I actually have to try when I roll with her. But she just had this drive to something, a fitness goal and self-defense. And it was really amazing. And to watch her passion into the sport, or at least when she started, was inspiring. And unfortunately, she got hurt, and then she had a couple of other medical issues that came up that just kind of knocked her down, and
Sure.
she didn't really get back up that quickly. So she put everything on hold, and the kids burnt out on their karate journey, which lasted only a couple of years. And so for a long time, we did nothing in that regards. And then about 2 years ago, and as a kid, I had always been passionate or fond of martial arts, watching Bruce Lee and all the martial arts films growing up. And then with that, and then just my own personal health was not the best place I'd ever been, quite heavy in regards to my weight, and just my overall sense of health wasn't where I wanted it to be. And little hints kept getting dropped off, and had clients or patients that come through the door that were part of a gym, and heard about this person and that person. Always loved UFC, watching and enjoying the fights on TV. And then one day, patient actually inherited from my partner, came in. He was a member at the gym I roll at, and we just struck up a conversation because he was injured and trying to get back to the mats. And I said, "Oh, which gym do you belong to?" And it happened to be a Gracie studio, Gracie Barra to be specific. And he just inspired me to just kind of use that as an excuse to, like, you know what? I hate going to the gym. I hate lifting weights.
Sure.
I've always been athletic, and I played every sport you could as a kid. But I just couldn't find something, and unfortunately golf is really not physical enough, which I love and enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't actually lose any weight or get healthier playing it.
Sure.
So I decided that, you know what, let's try it. My wife did it. My kids were kind of interested at the time, way back when. And it was right in between the house and my work and my office. So I said, let's just pop in on a Saturday. They have an intro class for the family. Whole family would go and test it out. And that was 2 years ago. And ever since, we've been pretty active. I've been, before the shutdown happened, I was probably going anywhere from 3 to 5 times a week to work out. Sometimes first class in the morning at 6 a.m. and then hit the evening class. And it just became more of a, which, they said it when I first joined, and I was like, oh yeah, whatever. I just want to get some exercise. I want to get fit. But it really turns into a lifestyle in a sense. Sure. I think martial arts kind of does that to people.
No question about it, and it transcends any particular style. I mean, regardless of whether karate or jiu-jitsu or taekwondo, it is a very similar mentality.
Right, and I think I attribute that just to the mental involvement and focus you have when you're in the sport itself and the art, and it just translates into, this is a good way to be. This is a good mindset to have in life. And how to behave and how to control yourself, your emotions, your physical nature. There's a lot of good things. And my only regret is that I didn't start earlier myself.
Sure. Sure. No, absolutely.
And I was like, man, I'd have been a black belt if I'd started when my wife had done.
Sure.
So would she. But, nevertheless, we found a really amazing studio in Dojo. And even for that, I feel very fortunate. I hooked up with the Gracie Barra franchise and team. The owner of our particular gym is the vice president of North America. So he's in charge of all of North America and just happened to have Arizona be his home base. And my gym is his particular home gym. Professor Flavio Almeida, who's a direct black belt under Carlos Gracie Jr., which was amazing in itself. We were fortunate. He actually graced us with a visit last year. I think last December, he came down and actually visited our studio in support of our professor, who was going through a little tough time. But it's a really cool studio, and just the art in general has inspired me to both be healthy and just to maintain some type of focus and center, outside of my work. And and I'm doing my best to keep my family engaged. It's been a little tough through this whole shutdown and restricted.
Martial artists all over the world are experiencing the same level of, anxiety of how to stay, and school owners, how to keep everyone engaged, and hopefully we're on the other side of it. So how do all of those aspects of your life come together to lead to the extreme? I want to make sure I have it right. The extreme mist portable sanitizing system. Something
Correct.
That's really intriguing to me. So how does that come about, and what are the potential upside and applications, particularly in this crazy time that we're dealing with?
Certainly. So about, let's see, gosh, it's been a long time. So about 8 years ago, I met a gentleman that through my practice, and I won't get into particulars for HIPAA reasons, but came through my office as a patient. And through the years, he himself is known to be quite an active person, very active lifestyle, kind of an extreme, hence the title, extreme hiker, outdoorsman. And so through his life, he saw a need for a particular product that served his needs for when he was out in the deserts of the Sahara or on the Mount Kilimanjaro. This guy goes everywhere, right?
Hydration. That essentially started as a hydration system, correct?
Exactly. So, which, it's kind of funny out here. It's a very common device to see just in public places and at homes on the back patios. You have mister systems that spray out a very fine mist to cool down and bring the ambient temperature immediately around you down to a comfortable level. And because of his outdoor activities, he found a need to find some way to do that and make it go with him. So a portable cooling system. And he came up with the Extreme Mist personal cooling system. And then, so it's about 2 years in development when he launched the product. Very successfully, I might add. This guy's pretty amazing. He everything from start to finish, from inception to fabrication of a demo, and all the way up through production and manufacturing. He did it himself, promoted it himself, hits all the trade shows, and got it into REI, one of the major outdoor retail stores.
Sure.
And they're selling his products, local sports stores, running stores. Great device, and it works amazing. So then when the shutdown happened, I got a call, and I got a call from Ron. That's the owner and developer. And he said, "Hey Doc, I need your help." I was like, "Sure, what is it?" And he said, I'd love to get this device. I've repurposed my personal cooling system to spray out sanitation fluid to help with efficiency and the speed of delivery of the product, and disinfecting large areas in a very efficient, quickly, in amount of time. And and he wanted to give it to hospitals in the local area to help out the efforts of keeping areas clean and people safe, and maximizing your effort with fluid or disinfectants because of the rationing that was happening. People's flying off the shelves, and
Sure.
hard for even the hospital systems, which are the ones that need it the most. We're having a hard time keeping it in stock and getting more supplies for their efforts to keep things clean. So I said, absolutely, Ron, no problem. I got on the phone with a couple different hospitals. About, I think, 3 different hospitals showed interest. The next day, I got a call back from one of them, one of the ones I go to the most, and immediately the human resources director called us and said, "Hey, we love your idea. Bring it in. Let's give us a demo. Let us try it out." And we donated a few units to the hospital, and they've been using it ever since.
Oh,
So and then immediately, as he's telling me what he's doing with his device and just repurposing his cooling system into a sanitation system, I immediately saw the benefits, even just my own office, with everyone kind of adapting certain protocols to keep their patient safety in mind, and as well as their staff. Just the effort it takes to keep things clean, to keep the environment that customers, patients come through safe, and not only for the people working there, but for the health and mindset of the people coming through our business. And I said, Ron, give me one of those units. I want to use it here at the office. And it was really amazing. It cuts, we were cleaning rooms, every single patient, before and after. We were disinfecting the waiting rooms. We're hitting the administrative areas, my nurses' stations, less frequently my office, but all the surfaces that get touched, including desktops and even the electronics. Because the mist is so fine, it dries fairly quickly. You can hit your phone, you can hit your computer, keyboards, no problem. Paper doesn't even get saturated enough, or it dries so quickly that you don't even ruin paper. So we just hit the desks every now and then with papers on it and everything. And just the amount of time and kind of cost savings from preservation of the liquid, the disinfectant we were able to achieve, it was astounding. We went from taking an average of 5 to 6 minutes to clean a patient room, exam room, to about 40 seconds. And we fill up a sanitation pack, which holds about 2 liters of liquid and only weighs about 5 to 6 pounds total. For my, I got roughly a little over 2,000 square feet of office space that patients walk through. We've had sanitation liquid in one pack full will last about 2 weeks.
oh wow.
And so I'm like, I stock up once with disinfectant, and I'm good for probably a good 6 to 8 months, maybe even a year, depending on how busy we get. But I think it's just been something that very quickly I saw the benefit and what it could do for not only the pure effect of disinfecting surfaces, but also to help people understand that you're making an effort to keep them safe, right? So outside of the healthcare industry, which I think it's an obvious, benefit that people can easily relate to. But even the service industry, customer service industries, like, I consider our gym, our dojo is a customer service based business where a lot of people are going to have a lot of concerns about the personal contact that one's going to have outside of the environment they're in. And so I immediately shared it with my gym and my dojo, and they immediately snapped up about 6 of the packs and threw them all into their. We have about 8 Gracie Barra dojos here in Arizona, and most of them have a sanitation pack that they're using, not so much to clean the mats with, because they tend to go a little heavier on the disinfectant with those, and they need more of a saturation process. But they're hitting everything else, the benches, the locker rooms, the waiting rooms, the front desk, any common areas, the bathrooms.
So I want to bring it more so that people can understand a little bit better in terms of, and it's interesting because jiu-jitsu is a little bit different from Taekwondo, where because of the fact that we're not we don't have a ground game essentially. We do some groundwork, but people are generally going to be stand up. So a lot of what we're going to be looking for is disinfecting surfaces. Is this something that is delivered through it sounds to me like it's not through a permanently mounted and a fixed misting system. It's something that's manually done. So is it done through a device that is, like a Lysol spray can, or something that is like give me an idea of what we're talking about in terms of how it's administered. I know you told me about the weight, but how is it?
Absolutely. So the device itself is based off of a hydration backpack. I'll use the name because it's probably one of the more common names that people know about, is a Camelback. So the Camelback Backpack, that's a brand name, but it's a hydration backpack, smaller than a regular backpack and thinner, rectangular, that sits on your back and has a water or reservoir, liquid bladder based in the pouch, and then has tubing that typically comes out of the pouch and onto your shoulder, and with a nozzle that you can then draw water off of as needed. So Ron actually took that idea and has developed a small 1-pound battery operated pump that is then drives instead of manually sucking the fluid out of the bladder, which obviously you wouldn't want to do that with disinfectant. He has a pump that actually forces the water and pumps it out through small tubing, which is then tipped off with a Mr. Tip. Now that was designed originally for the cooling system, just to create a nice vapor, water vapor cloud that you can walk through and reduce your overall ambient temperature. And then here, and actually I have the pack to kind of demonstrate that.
Oh, that's great.
So this is the actual backpack. And originally he came up with the design for retrofitting a regular hydration pack, where he just had a little Y splitter come off the tubing. You plug in one tube to the original tubing from the bladder, and then one goes to the hose, and then the other one goes through the misting tip, which then sits on your shoulder. So with this, same concept, but he developed his own pack. So this is his branded pack for extreme mist, and he's got the same reservoir bladder inside of the pouch. So I can kind of take that out to show you. So you've got the reservoir here, and the tube on the back, the little Y splitter tubing. So one for the actual misting fluid and one that goes to the pump. Actually, this is a secondary port. He created a secondary port for another tube for a second mister if you wanted it. So then it has a battery that then drives the actual fluid, and that's located in the front pouch. Gotcha. And about the size of an old Walkman, which you and I probably know about.
Sure. The young people can look it up.
Yeah, look it up. His generation, he's developed a second generation battery, which is actually rechargeable through your traditional micro USB. And also the large the second generation, this is the first, has a regular USB, so you can actually even charge your phone off of it if you wanted to. So that's the pump, and all of it together, the whole pack and filled to capacity with the pump itself is only about 6 pounds total. So it's actually very light and pretty efficient. So we put it on just like a regular backpack, and we have the Mr. tip here, and has the control here with a remote control, which is, I don't know, it's actually pretty cool. He has a detachable remote control, wireless, that turns it on. Has a little slide cover so you don't actually turn it on by accident, and slide it back, and it has speed control, which has about, I think like 8 speeds you can turn on the mister, depending on how heavily or light you want to saturate something, bigger droplets versus finer.
Sure.
And, very quickly, I'll turn it on for you so you can kind of, hopefully you can convey on the video, but I'll turn it on. And so I'll turn it on the highest mist, and you can see right here, I can disinfect my chair, disinfecting the cabinetry, exam tables, just about anything I want in a very short amount of time.
That's great. Now, is there that you had indicated that it evaporates very quickly in terms of from the standpoint of it being of dampness. So there's not a necessity that once you do that you now wipe down that surface. It's simply you would mist it, and then it will you wait a short period of time and it dries.
Sure.
Is that
correct? Yep. Yeah. So now, and this is one of the things that he actually kind of asked me about, because he's not a medical person, so
Sure.
He wanted my opinions, and we came up with the concepts, and he did a lot of research himself, and it really comes down to the fluid you choose to put into this pack. He doesn't specifically have a recommendation for a specific type of solution. He does ask that you do your due diligence in researching what you're using through the device, but it's really just a delivery system. There are disinfectants that require a wipe down, but most of them, for the better part, do kill on contact. So, and the only concern he had regarding the type of fluid was heavy alcohol based, which we do know that does work well against viruses. But a lot of the heavy industrial cleaning solutions aren't necessarily alcohol based, they're water based. He's worried about the alcohol, maybe the parts of the pump and everything not holding up over time.
Sure.
But it's more just a wear and tear concern, not that it couldn't do it. But yeah, so really what Ron is advocating for his device is really just using the tool for its efficiency, and being able to cover a large area very quickly, considering hard to reach places. And, for instance, the first place he tested it at was his workout gym, his regular gym, with the weight equipment, all the different nooks and crannies, and all the different weight sets and machines that people use at the gym. It's almost impossible to sit there and wipe it with a hand wipe
Sure.
or a cloth and spray everything to the point where everything is clean, where this can reach in between little nooks and crannies and crevices very efficiently without even touching them. So, and, I immediately say, yes, that's great. Let me use it in my office. I sent it to my brother, who's a physical therapist back in Georgia. He immediately started using it. Patients have looked into it just based purely on him doing it for his office. Like, I want one of those.
And
so
for you, in terms of what you're doing, what type of a solution did you come up with in terms of this is the delivery mechanism, but in terms of your determination as to what was a comfortable actual sanitizing solution, where did you come up with the idea for that, or how did you select that? And I'm certain that if you were to give it to a gym, again, I think one of the questions would be, well, it's great, but I'm concerned about not necessarily knowing what is the right thing to put inside of it.
Right. So there's actually a link on and a list of sanitation or disinfectant solutions that have been reviewed by the CDC. So if you go onto the CDC website, they already have a list of products that are known to be effective against the human coronavirus. So it's, and there's a lot of debate about which ones specifically. Is it all coronavirus? Is it the COVID-19? And the answer is it's such a novel virus that they've tested it against other coronaviruses in the past, and the best they can do is tell you, well, we know it kills these coronaviruses. We're going to assume it does kill these. So if anyone asks, I usually direct them to the CDC website. That's and look for that list. And I apologize, I can't remember the actual name of that particular list, but it's pretty easy to find right now.
Sure.
Since it's a hot topic.
I've seen it, and we'll link it together with the post. So
absolutely. Yeah. And again, the portable, so and Ron came up with he calls it the portable sanitizing system, and you could actually look that up online. It's portablesanitizingsystem.com. I think it's something that I can't see me doing without right now, at least. And who knows how long this is going to last.
Sure.
I really don't. People ask me all the time, like, Doc, how long is this going to be like this? How long am I going to have to wear masks? And the answer is, I don't know. It's here to stay. Quite honestly, unless they found an actual vaccine for the virus, then we're always going to be keeping our distance and taking a little extra effort to clean surfaces and protect each other.
But the fact of the matter is that there's certain positive things that come out of all of this tragedy. And people washing their hands more, or people, particularly in environments where we're getting hot and sweaty in a gym, in a dojang, to be able to use better sanitation practices as an ongoing new normal, so to speak. There's certainly nothing negative that can come out of that. That's certainly a positive.
I agree. It has been challenging, and I applaud my professors at our gym. They've done an amazing job of trying to keep the highest standards for their company and the safety of their instructors and all their members and students. And I've gotten quite a few calls from them. It's like asking, what do I think about this, doing it this way, and how should we handle that? And just coming up with game plans and putting it down on, as a protocol, so to speak.
Sure.
For all the other gyms to adapt and to put in place. And it's been challenging. And granted, I'd like to say, I trust the system, and I'm at the gym now because it's open. It's been tough. I have my family to think about, my kids.
Sure.
And I'm around. I'm a kind of a high risk guy. It's like I see a lot of people during the day that are coming to me for medical reasons, but it's a big exposure. And I don't know if I'm comfortable exposing then my teammates and gym, partners to what I'm experiencing. So it's been a little challenging for me to go right back to the gyms and the mats, but
absolutely. I think we're all working through it together and doing the best that we can. So tell me about from the business standpoint. This is now beyond the point of being prototyped and beta. It's actually a fully available delivery mechanism that people can go to the site and find out information and purchase. It's in the commerce stream at this point.
Absolutely. So the website, first and foremost, the Extreme Mist personal cooling system, has been up and running for over 2 years, and they have carved out kind of an identifiable separate website and link for the portable sanitizing system, which is totally separate, but it's linkable from the Extreme Mist website. And you can go on and purchase the actual backpack. Actually, everything is sold. I know he sells the motor and the tubing and the reservoir pack, and you can actually retrofit your own hydration pack with it. Like let's say you have an old Camelback or a hydration pack, and you just want to put the motor on it, and then instead of putting water in it, you put the disinfectant. You can do that. And then he has the all-in-one, all-inclusive backpack. And he's even got really cool accessories now it comes with a set of 4 misters that you can mount to your UTV, your what do you call it, the four side-by-side ATVs, or the back seat of your car in a cab, or golf cart when you're going golfing.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's really cool. He's come up with some amazing ideas for it, and it's in process. It's still fluid. He's changing, adding things, making it better, more user friendly. But all in all, it's ready to go. You can buy it today on the website at portablesanitizingsystem.com, and check it out. It's really, you won't waste your money for sure. And if you ever decided, you could just buy an additional backpack or fluid reservoir and tubing, and switch it over to a cooling system. So,
but if you wanted to buy the complete, if you're somebody who's not you're not a hiker, you don't have an old backpack lying around, you wanted to buy the complete system, that's available there as well, correct?
Absolutely. It is already available as I use it here, this backpack itself, with the Mr. Tip. And I think it actually now comes with a second reservoir. So you have the option of switching it out and doing something different with it, or just having a backup. So, but yeah, it's totally on commerce, and feel free to get one today. I advise everyone that I show it to get one, just for their own use or for their businesses. Food industry, I think would be amazing because I know if I want to go to a restaurant and go sit down and eat at this point, is like, I'm wondering, did you guys clean that table?
Sure.
Did you clean the chair?
I think it's something that's in all of our consciousness right now. So, Dr. Paul, I want to make sure I don't butcher your last name. Ledesma, is that correct?
It's close. Ledesma.
Ledesma. All right, a little different emphasis. Dr. Paul Ledesma, I want to thank you for talking to us today. We're going to post this. We're going to post links. Again, I think when I found out about it, I know that it has literally been on every single call that I've been on related to the martial arts industry. Recently, it is the concern. Everybody is concerned. Everybody wants to get back to training, but everybody wants to ensure that their facility is safe, and they want to be able to give, from a business standpoint, the consumer, the students, the parents, the sense that they're walking into a safe and sanitized environment. So I really thought it was a appropriate conversation, and I really do appreciate it. And I think you really did, highlight it for us. And I'm going to I'll post all the links together with this, and we look forward to encouraging you in your black belt journey, and hearing more about that down the road. So I want to thank you so much for talking to us today.
Mark, it's been a pleasure. And I'm always around for any questions. I love fielding questions about if it's the sanitizing system and how I use it in a medical space, I love talking about, martial arts at this point. So
right.
It's been a cool experience, and I applaud everyone that's been in it for many years, and the dedication it takes to stay with it.
It's life-changing.
It's not easy at times. Yeah, absolutely is life-changing.
Absolutely.
And looking forward to the journey. So
very good.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and we look forward to speaking to you. Wish you the best weekend.
All right. Take care, Mark. Have a great weekend. Stay safe.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.